The qSCALE i2 THRCI system requires that several static and dynamic measurements be recorded in order to train the system to interpret the hydraulic data. Before you start the measurement process, move the machine to a level surface. You will also need to make sure that the system is fully installed and without errors, and verify that the displayed radius is accurate by comparing it to a physical measurement. A physical measurement can be taken using a long roll of measuring tape and a plumb bob hung from the center of gravity of the load. The correct starting point for your radius measurement will be shown on your load chart. This is typically measured from the front of the tires to the middle of the load on the forks. Hang a plumb bob from the center of gravity of the load and measure the distance along the ground from the 0-foot mark to the point where the plumb bob rests. Compare your physical radius measurement against the value displayed on the console at 3 different length and angle combinations. It's important to note that the radius is displayed in feet. The numbers after the decimal point are tenths of a foot, not inches. After confirming the radius calculation is accurate, you are now ready to begin the static and dynamic measurement process. From the operating mode confirmation screen, press Setup, Machine Calibration and Measurements. The display will show a list of measurements that need to be taken for the system to interpret the hydraulic data. Each measurement requires that the machine is in a specific orientation, either with or without a load, as specified by the description. If the measurement requires a load, use a known weight near the machine's maximum capacity. These measurements can be taken in any order. Turn the rotary knob to select the measurement you want to complete. Press the knob or set key to make your selection. Detailed instructions for the measurement will appear. In our example, we will begin with a static measurement, and the boom should be motionless during the recording. The dynamic measurements will require boom movement and will be shown later in this video. Each measurement will have slightly different requirements. Read the contents of the screen to determine your next steps. If a value in the current column is red, follow the steps at the bottom of the screen so that it matches the set point. In our example, set point requires operating mode 10. The current value displays 13 in red because the value has not been corrected. If the value is not correct, press the operating mode key and select the option that matches the number in the set point for the measurement you are working on. If the value in the current column for operating mode is white, you are already on the correct operating mode for the measurement. In our example, the value in the current column for test weight is red, and the set point requests a test weight of max. Pick a known weight that is at least 70% of the maximum capacity of the machine. Press the Set Function key and enter the known weight for the set point when prompted to enter test load. In addition to the weight of the load itself, be sure to include the weight of any pallets or chains used. Using the rotary knob, enter the test load. Rotating the knob changes the value of the selected digit. If you need to add a decimal point, rotate the knob past 9 or below 0. Pressing the knob will advance you to the next digit. To correct a digit or decimal point, continue pressing the knob to loop back to the first digit. After you've entered the correct test load value, press Set to confirm. After setting the weight, the value in the current column will display the number you entered in white. If you need to correct your entry, press the Set Function key again. If the value for the current column for length is red, move your boom to the length specified in the Set Point column until the value is white. If the value in the current column for angle is red, move your boom to the angle specified in the Set Point column until the value is white. Once all of the values in the current column are white, press the Record key and wait for the measurement to complete. It is important that you do not move the machine during the recording process. Once the first static measurement is complete, you will automatically be taken back to the measurement screen. All measurements with a complete recording will be marked with a green square. Continue performing the measurements by following the prompts until all static measurements are complete. Only 6 measurements will appear on the screen at a time. turn the rotary knob to scroll beyond the final displayed measurement to verify whether or not more measurements need to be taken. The dynamic measurements follow a similar process as the static measurements. However, during recording, you will need to move the boom between two angles as specified on the console. If the current value for the dynamic angle displays red, move your boom to the first angle specified in the set point column. Once all of the values in the current column match the set point column, they will turn white. Press the record key and move the boom beyond the second specified angle. While recording, you do not need to stop the boom precisely at the end angle. It is better to overshoot the angle and stop booming up after the measurement is complete. Repeat these steps again until all measurements are complete. Our next step is to run the qSCALE identify process. On the operating mode confirmation screen, press Setup, Machine Calibration, and Identify. This screen shows a list of machine components that must be identified by the system using the measurements completed in the measurement screen. Press the Identify All key and wait for the system to calculate the values. After the system processes the measurements, you will return to the Identification Step screen where all the steps will be marked complete with green squares. Press the Save key to save the changes and apply corrections to the calculated load. If all of the steps are completed and the Save key is turned gray, you have finished the machine identification step, and you can move on to the qSCALE fine adjustments. More information about how to complete the qSCALE fine adjustments can be found in our other how-to videos.